May 25th, 1660, exiled English King Charles II assumes the throne in what is called the Restoration. But why had Charles II been in exile? And why didn't one of his children replace him when he died? Charles II was one of the most interesting kings in Britain's history. He was the grandson of James I, who united the English and Scottish thrones after the death of his childless cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. During the English Civil War in 1649, Charles II's father, Charles I, had been overthrown and executed by the Roundheads, a nickname for those who supported Parliament over the king. 2 years later, the 21-year-old Charles II and his brother James fled to mainland Europe, where they spent 9 years in exile during the Interregnum, the period when Oliver Cromwell and the Roundheads controlled England. At the end of that failed experiment, Parliament invited Charles II to take the throne in the Restoration. His marriage to Catherine of Braganza, daughter of King John IV of Portugal, produced no surviving children. However, Charles II had multiple mistresses and at least 12 children from 7 of those mistresses. But those illegitimate children were ineligible to assume the throne. Thus, at his death in 1685 at age 54, Charles II's younger brother James II assumed the throne. Less than 4 years later, James II was overthrown during England's Glorious Revolution, and his daughter, Mary II, and her husband, William of Orange of the Netherlands, became Britain's joint monarchs. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1915, large-scale deportations begin in Turkey as part of the 8-year Armenian Genocide. In 1961, John F. Kennedy announces to Congress his goal of reaching the moon by the end of the decade. In 1977, China's communist government removes its ban on the writings of William Shakespeare. Also in 1977, George Lucas's epic space movie Star Wars is released in 32 theaters across the US. In 1979, a passenger jet crashes after takeoff in Chicago in the deadliest crash in US history until 9/11. In 1986, Hands Across America attempts to form a human chain from New York City to Santa Monica. In 2020, George Floyd is killed by a Minneapolis police officer, triggering protests across the US. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. What was the code name for the 1940 British evacuation of Allied troops from the French port of Dunkirk? Operation Overlord, Operation Barbarossa, Operation Dynamo, or Operation Fortitude? Liked learning about the restoration of the English monarchy? Then you'll love this one about how a shipwreck killed the heir to England's throne 500 years earlier. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.